You don't need to be fast to run far. And in this video, I'm going to give you 12 of my top tips to help you understand that and to actually help you run further as well. So stay tuned. But first, a quick apology. It's been a minute since I've produced any decent YouTube videos. I think the last one I posted was about the camper, and even that was about 4 weeks ago. So look, apology from me. I've been super busy. I've been doubling down on Instagram content. And to be honest, the creative juices weren't really flowing with the whole YouTube stuff. So I recorded this video weeks and weeks and weeks ago, but I just never finished editing it. And to be honest, I wasn't really happy with the intro, hence kind of re-recording it doing this. But anyway, without further ado, the video is here, ready for you to get stuck in, and I won't keep you any longer with a boring intro. Here is 12 steps to running further.
Most training plans assume you're chasing pace, especially the AI ones. But if you're here to go the distance, you'll need a different approach. I've coached slow runners to their first hour, 10k and beyond, without speed, without shame, and without burning out or getting injured. So if you're slow and want to run for longer, this video's for you. And I'm going to give you 12 points that are going to help you run further. And we're going to start off with point number 1, which is a good place to start because it's start where you are right now, not where you want to be. Which might sound a little bit daft, so let me explain that for a moment. You don't need to be able to run far in order to be able to run far. And what I mean by that is, even if you can't run far right now, doesn't mean that you can't get there. Start exactly where you are right now. One of my clients, Ash, couldn't run for more than 5 minutes when we started. And within about 8 weeks, we got her basically up to the hour mark. Strava screenshot right there to prove it. And we got her there not by running fast, but by building her up from a realistic start point. So ask yourself this, how far can I run right now and then build from that? Now, point number 2 is something that I wish you would all really understand, and it's that walk breaks are not a failure, they're a strategy. If you're training to go further, it's almost inevitable that you'll have to chuck in some walk breaks in there at some point. It's not quitting, it's clever. A 10k, whether you throw some walk breaks in there or not, is still a 10k. Your heart, lungs, and legs all did the work. And this is exactly how we got my client Liz from 2k to 7k. And we've actually now even booked her onto a 10k race. If you want to be able to run further, chuck them into your training. And don't feel bad for it either. Point number 3 is one that I bang on about a lot, but it's run slower than you think you should. You've probably heard others and even me say slow down, but seriously, slower, like painfully slow. One of the biggest mistakes I see plodders make, and to be honest, I still do this myself, is that they go out the gates too fast and they expect too much pace out of themselves. Long runs especially need to be slow, and there really isn't a minimum pace. By the way, if you didn't know how to do a little bit of a pace check, well, if you're capable of sending your mate a voice note, letting them know how your run's going, you're probably doing it right. Other ways of checking are, can you still breathe out your nose, or are you having to open your mouth? Simple, but it works. Now, point number 4 is increase duration, not distance. At first, anyway. Instead of chasing kilometres, start chasing time. Can you go out there and do 30 minutes? Cool. That's where you'll start. Next week, go for 35. The distance will follow, but what matters most is time on your feet. Why? Because it's teaching your body how to cope with that amount of running, whether you're actually doing all of it as running or not. Point number 5 is to keep it to 2 runs per week. This might sound like lazy running advice, but honestly, it's more to do with quality over quantity. Obviously, quantity matters, but the thing that we don't want to do is do too much running and we end up getting injured. Doing 2 runs per week, especially if they're split up, will give your body plenty of time to rest and recover in between sessions. And it's what I recommend to most of my clients who want to go further. And actually, fun fact, it's exactly how I got myself up to my first hour as well. In fact, I followed the majority of the advice that I'm giving in this video. And I've since gone on to run my full marathon as well, so probably worth following the advice really, isn't it? Point number 6 is to repeat weeks if you need to. Progress is never going to be linear, and if you've done a 40-minute run and that felt absolutely brutal and your legs felt like they were going to snap, it's probably worth repeating that week again. There's no expiry date on this training plan, and even with my coaching clients, I've had to extend training plans and move goals, quite simply because we need to sit at a certain time or distance for a little bit longer. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Sometimes it takes your body a little bit more time to adjust. Sometimes you plateau. That's normal. This is why it's useful to have a coach in your corner to help you get through these mental barriers. Because they're mental as well as physical, I can assure you of that. But rushing through these plateaus and really trying to push things is what gets people injured and burnt out. And ultimately leads to people quitting, which we don't want. We want you to be consistent with your runs. Point number 7 is fairly similar, but it's actually how much you should be increasing your runs by when you are ready for an increase. And that's to add 5 to 10 minutes every 1 to 2 weeks. Not to every single run, but again, if it feels right and you feel like you could push a little bit further, that's the amount you should add. It might be tempting to add more to every single run, but honestly don't. Seriously think about it. Again, if you're really stuck, drop me a message on Instagram. I'm more than happy to help out. But if you are ready for an increase, 5 to 10 minutes is a good amount to add because it's just enough to see some progress, but it's not too much that it's going to overload your body. Point number 8 is one that I tend to ignore a lot, and it's don't obsess over the watch. Your GPS watch is a tool and it's not the boss. Use it to track, not to judge. If it says you're running slow, cool. You knew that already, that's the point. What matters most is that you showed up, track the data, and you can look back on things and see, did you run more than last month? Did you hate it less? And it just lets us look at progress over the long term, which is a really useful thing to track. Point number 9 is to fuel before and refuel afterwards. Going for longer, you'll need to eat like it. Now, I'm not saying chugging loads of gels is the way forward, but maybe eat something carby around 60 minutes before your pod. A banana, a slice of toast with some jam on it, or even a flapjack will do. It'll make a massive difference to your energy levels, and it will stop that mid-run crash as well. If you have no idea where to start with your nutrition, then make sure you download my free nutrition guide for runners. I've included the link in the description, and it's completely free for you to download too. Point number 10 is to build a why that isn't about speed. Remember, you're training to go further, not faster. It's all well and good training to try and get your 10k in under 90 minutes, but remember the real goal of this is distance. So what is it? A race? A mission to run for an hour without stopping? Lock onto that goal, because when it gets hard, remembering that you're doing this for you and not for Strava is what will keep you going. Point number 11 is find a community that celebrates your distance, not your pace. Now, chasing pace is cool, and we actually have a speed program called Plod to PB, but when you're chasing distance, focusing on pace is the last thing you should think about. If you're surrounded by people that always bang on about how fast they are, there's a good chance you're going to feel left behind. Find a group, like my Plodders Run Club, where a 50-minute 5k gets a round of applause. Because let's be honest, feeling seen and validated that you're still a runner at those paces makes the long runs feel much more bearable. Point number 12, and the final one of this video, is that your identity over time will change, so let it. At first, you might just feel like someone that's trying to run for longer, but give it a few weeks, get some longer plods under your belt, and you will fall to runner's delusion. What's runner's delusion, I hear you ask? Well, it's when you lean over to your partner and you say, oh, I'm only going for a 10k today. That's runner's delusion. In a good way, it's kind of when you forget how far you've come with your running journey. You will become a runner. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you go out for runs, you're already a runner, but you know what I mean. You'll feel like one. Let that identity shift happen. And that first time you say, I'm only going for a 10k is when full runner's delusion kicks in and you'll be entering marathons. Trust me. So that's how slow runners train for longer distances. No speed work, no guilt, and no pressure. Just small doable steps that actually work. If this video helped you, drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel for more plodder friendly tips. And if you want tips on how to train for your first hour of running, I've made a video about that too. You should click that, and I'll see you in that video.